Well, this morning's ride serves essentially two purposes. Well, maybe three, because it'll be fun. Basically, I've just managed to, get the front back on the scoot. So I've got that bolt section through there. I've given it a couple of quick test rides around town. It actually behaves very nicely, and in fact, even sounds a little bit less clunky than it did. And so the onset of the clunkiness coming from the movement in the bit down there was so gradual that it was only that I picked it up by actually the movement that I showed. I'll put a link in the video about here, I guess. But the other purpose it serves is that just at the moment there's been something kind of weird going on in my battery, and that it's come up to 53.3 volts. Now, normally it was coming up to 54.6 or something, it still shows 54.6 on the charger, but as soon as you unplug the charger, do the port down here, maybe I should do a post about how I repaired that one stage, but the solid 1 volt drop to me indicates that I've got either a battery balance problem or maybe my BMS is a bit crook. So I'm going to take it up to Queen Mary Falls and back to see, if that journey is impacted and what the voltages are. So I might call them out a little bit as I go. So in the meantime, I'll probably also show that I've got those white dots on here, which really help, because if I turn the scooter on, then a lot of people go, oh, it's got too much free play. Well, it actually helps, because then I can bump that, right? I can bump that, and the scooter doesn't jolt off. So I actually think the free play is a bit of a safety thing. And I can tell, and that's why I've marked them as I have, when the scooter is going to start moving, because I've got them there together, and now I've got to go past that a bit before it takes off. So personally, I find that helps me. Okay, well, let's get going up the hill here. I don't feel like that's dropped down to 47, so it's even entirely possible that, and now it's back up to 51. It wasn't quite behaving like that when I first got it, so it's possible that it even might have a problem with one of the bus connectors rusting, like I found on the other battery. But all that was pretty repairable on the other one, so I think it cost me $16 for a new BMS, and my time and effort to cut it open and have a look. So I'll give it a look. We're showing 49 point something volts now. I guess I'll report back further along when we get up to the mountain up there. So basically we're going to go to the top of the right hand mountain. See you soon. Okay, well, after having mounted the hill and headed along the straight here, I'm along, it's showing 50.9 volts. So that's probably down a bit on what I'd expect right here. Probably expect it to still be, a volt or so higher, but then again, it's a volt or so lower. I'm really hoping it is only a BMS issue and out of balance, so I'll balance the pack up later. But yeah, the front's... Sorry, I get distracted when I hear shit behind me like that. Trying to make sure I'm pulled over, right? So if there's breaks in continuity in the dialogue, well, I focus first on riding and second on talking, so there's that. Anyway, I think that people don't really kind of get what happens in the whole, balancing act of batteries, and why it even takes a fair while. But then that's just how the chemistry of the batteries works. But if, for example, one of the packs was only charging up to 4 instead of 4.7, or a couple of them were only charging up to 4 or even 3.9. When they come off the pack, they'll come off the charge, they'll drop down a bit. But I'm concerned that this voltage drop implies that the bus connection between some of the parallel cells is buggered, and groups in the parallel bundle, or cells in the parallel bundle, aren't all getting uniformly charged. And that's what I found with the other one. And I, never really knew for sure whether it was the bus rusting or whether it was the BMS. But anyway, so I'll pull this one down soon and have a look at it. But yeah, we're still pulling 49 up this hill. We're doing, what feels to be its normal top speed. I've been riding the MX60 for a bit, so I kind of, it's a bit tricky to know if I'm actually going any faster or slower than normal without a speedo, like my phone's GPS. But it feels like it's about normal. So I think it's humming along okay. Oh, here comes someone I know. On it. Anyway. It's a lot quieter on the road here than the other one. Like the other one, that tyre slap on this section of the road was a lot louder. Oh, it's got bumps. Yeah, oh well. Oh my God, what should I do? Oh, I just steer around it. Oh, look at that. Fucking that worked. Okay, well, I'll talk to you again when I'm going up the mountain. Well, the sign that I just passed reminded me that it's 7 k's to Queen Mary Falls, but this is like a nice, long, gentle, relentless slope, which doesn't seem much, but it actually does help me to add a bit of speed on the way down. Gravity works, stuff, Anyway, ooh, look at that. A couple of posts in there. What's going on there? Interesting. Don't know what all the blue posts are all about. Maybe look like Telstra cable, or, I don't know. Maybe they're finally finishing off the It's About 10 Years Late NBN. Wouldn't that be interesting? Just in time for it to be obsolete. Gosh. Well, there'd be some people sitting around saying how slow this is compared to their 010X or my MX60 or one of them faster scooters. I've got to say that, I don't think I'd be doing this kind of pace on my bicycle, even when I was 28 and fit, without a lot of hard work. And, maybe that hard work would be good for me, but now that I'm old and broken, dual cameras. It's good to see some guys out on the chook chases. I was hoping that my timing would be such that, because people usually come to Killarney from Brisbane early in the morning and go for a bit of a ride around in the scrub and shit, and then go and have lunch at the pub and then bugger off home. So I'm hoping that my timing will, what time is it? 9 o'clock. Most of my ride up, there'll be people coming down, and on the ride down I normally go fast enough that I'm not really holding anyone up. Normally I'm pretty close to the speed limit. So, yeah. And here I am, able to keep talking. Even though if I was riding my bicycle, I'd be probably doing half this speed and having a good old cardiovascular workout. Probably should do that more often. I do it a couple of days a week anyway. One of the really nice things about coming up this way, you probably don't get to see it because of the wide angle lens, there's all the little birds around the joint. You can hear the bellbirds up there on the hill, and a wet bird. But it's really pleasant, I absolutely fucking love coming for a quiet little scoot up here. It's almost like going for a walk. It's that kind of like no rush of wind in your ears, like, as if all there is in life is a roller coaster of excitement. And I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, I do that too, but you know, it's not everything in life. And this scoot really is very quiet and lovely to ride through stuff like this. And yes, I know I could, really, a smoke hazard? And while I know I could actually come walking up here, because it's about 20 k's all up, you tend not to. And at the moment, because of all the COVID stuff, I can't even really go for a walk on the Queen Mary circuit because there's too many fuckwits. I mean, they've all come up here on the weekend to get away from the city. I don't blame them for that. But yeah, it's just here I get to be out on the trail more or less by myself, except, you know, sharing it with you. Actually, maybe I'm a bit mad talking to myself all the time, but, you know, I tell myself that I'm actually talking to someone. And yeah, it's lovely. So we're doing 47.4 volts coming up this bit. That's not bad. You know, we've hit the hill. I think that's a volt down on where it used to be, you know, some time ago. I'd have to go and consult some old videos about a year ago. But, you know, if people were going, oh, my battery's going to die, my battery's going to die. Well, yeah, let's say after a year of 100% recharges that there was no other structural issues with my battery, which I think there are. If still getting this far is, you know, entirely possible, you know, this is well within what most people want to do with a scooter. So I don't think that you know, any loss is a real big issue. Like now we're sitting on 47 on this steeper bit, and that's only 1 volt below nominal. Nominal's 48. So if it's still hauling me up here without any real hesitations, that's fine. I have to check my logs. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing 46 up here at the top of Daggs Falls, like soon after I bought it. So to all intents and purposes, apart from people who memorise what voltages they're seeing, well, back to 47.1 again, as the hill flattens off, becomes less steep. You know, unless you focus on your battery levels, you know, even a 5% loss in capacities over a year of pretty hard use really is quite acceptable. I mean, everything fucking dies. I would say though that if this bike, scooter, whatever you call it, was in the hands of most people, most useless, incapable of doing anything maintenance-wise, don't know what a screwdriver is, people probably would have broken a while ago. But just that little, you know, stitch in time, that little application of a bit of Permatex Blue on things, that inspection of, you know, the swing arms and stuff like that, has meant that basically this scooter, to all intents and purposes, looks and to even the dealer feels like new a year after I've been flogging it stupid. So, got to tell you, I get a lot of smiles from people. It's wonderful, isn't it? Few cracks for me. I really like the narrower, longer board on this. Just allows me to move around better, have my feet spaced a bit better, you know, like, you know, I'm not standing in a queue with my feet together or a soup kitchen line. I'm fucking riding a motorised cycle along a road. I want to move around a bit, especially when it's not one with any kind of proper seating. Notice the word proper. Well, looks like someone's done a few drags over here at night. Always rely on the bellbirds in this part of the gully. Scoot's just been humming along nicely. It's always that little mixture of parrots in there as well as the bellbirds. That'd be rosellas for sure, based on the sound. Oh, car coming. It's nice to be able to hear that shit. I'm pretty close to Queen Mary at the moment. This is definitely pretty close to the end of the steepest bit. Well, I'm definitely noticing a little bit down on the voltage. 45.7 just back there. And right here I'm about to crest. And after that it's a little bit downhill to the rest of Queen Mary Falls. But I'll just stop on the sign because it's only a bit further along, like 100 metres. And I don't really particularly feel like I need to see anybody at the moment. I'm enjoying being out here by myself and talking to myself, because I love talking to myself, right? But yeah, you know, crest of the hill, 46.2. Yeah, that's all pretty good. Probably, are you still, actually, look at that, that's interesting. And dropped it down to a lower speed cruise control. I gave it a quick press, and yet, interesting stuff. Look at that. Oh, there we go. Haven't seen it do that before. Normally, you know, when you give it a little bit of a squirt on the throttle, it takes it out of cruise control mode. Now, might as well just head back. At least the trip back will be a little bit quicker. And won't use any battery. Yeah, it's not punching off as hard. I still suspect that there's something wrong with rust or something like that in the battery. And everyone focuses about recharging to make my battery last longer and just absolutely, completely, totally forgets that there are actually physical aspects. It's not just a magical box that you have to do a magical little voltage number that I don't understand at all. But if I give it the right magical phrase, abracadabra, only charge to 80%, whatever the magic phrase is, they fantasize that their battery's going to last longer when there are other factors. Anyway, this is good. We're just doing 47.9 on the way down. The scoot's holding together really nicely, actually. I must say I'm really happy with that. Oh look, I took my hand off again. I should have been dead. Anyway, yeah, look, it just feels tighter. I reckon that that bolt through is going to actually fix the whole problem. I mean, it's possible that the plug on the end of the steel stem may still fracture off, because I don't know what the weld on that looks like. And that's, at the moment, the only thing that's really holding it onto the base. But if it does, I'll just get it re-welded. Like, obviously it'll come off then. I'll just get it re-welded back on and take the bolt out, bolt it back on again. So I'd say that this is good for, you know, quite a few kilometres yet to come. We'll see. Time will tell. Always like this downhill trip. Seems to have a slight headwind. Maybe I should take the cruise control off on this and it'll speed it up a bit. I still like this little run down here, it's quite nice, isn't it? Good way to start your morning. Okay, re-engage the cruise control. Okay, we've got 47.5 at the bottom of the hill. Well, there's quite a headwind sprung up now. Got to tell you that really pisses me off on a bicycle. You know, because it slows you down and makes you work harder. Doesn't seem to bother me much on the scooter though. Just, you know, maybe knocks 1 or 2 kilometers off my top speed and adds to the wind noise in my ears. Now, around the corner and up the street a bit, there was a magpie wanted to have a go at me earlier. Let's see if he has a go at me this time. Might even catch him on camera. Little fucking bastards. Just up past the house. Anyway, I'm thinking about the battery. You know, I'm on 46 volts, so that's 46.2 volts. I wonder if that's what the reduced capacity manifests as. You know, it might actually be that I don't have a major problem with the battery, although there's still that voltage issue to discuss. But no magpie today. He came at me earlier. Must have decided I wasn't a threat. That's good. You know, because like capacity is like how many watt hours the battery can put out. So if it's still putting out power, like, you know, 46 volts now, but at a different stage of its life it was putting out 47 volts now, then, you know, with the amount of amps going into the motors being relatively consistent in my view, or my expectation, then that's a power reduction. So it's not necessarily going to be a range reduction, it's actually just going to be a speed reduction of, like, you know, a couple of percent, commensurate with its, you know, drop from 47 volts to 46 volts. So that'll be interesting. Oh, here we go. Come on, fella. Oh, I gave up. Poor bastard. He's getting old. Aren't we all? It's really nice when people actually overtake you, give you plenty of space. Well, let's see how we go closer to home. Okay, well, coming up this hill often is a bit of a challenge for it. We're dropping down to 44.7 volts, 44.4, 44.3, 44.4, 5, 7. So, you know, this answers another question that people have about, you know, the voltage is all over the place. Well, the voltage is kind of a reflection on load. 45.4. So we're coming back up. Now, low voltage cutoff on this, I think, is 42 volts. Anyway, looks like I'm going to make it home. Well, coming up pretty much the last significant hill before I get home. 44.0, 44.23. Yeah, so, you know, in the lower portions of its charge, but still working. I'm still going to pull the battery apart though, because why not? I mean, I love pulling shit apart. .4 down the bottom of the hill there. Obviously, it's unloaded because it's coasting. Oh, it's regen! No, it's not regen. That's good. And that's still like a nice comfortable little cruising pace along here, so, you know, pretty good really. By the way, though, one of the really important things about, you know, maintaining your balance on a scooter is maintaining your balance, and the handlebars are steering input. So if you're wondering how all of this works, it's basically that I don't put any additional, so that if I push and pull on the bar, it responds. So you want to actually keep your hand really still, and two hands obviously steadies it a bit more, but if you keep your arm stiff, your body will be putting forces into it. But as long as you just keep your hand here as a guide, and you actually balance on your feet like you're on a skateboard, it's all cool. Unless you've got a piece of shit with a really bad set of steering geometry, in which case it'll be all over the fucking joint. Try and flip it all the time. But then I wouldn't buy a Zero anyway. Nearly did. Well, here we are, back home. Well, almost. Hope you had a good trip. I had a good trip. Proved to myself that my front end still works nicely. It's holding up very well. I'll be bashing it a bit and checking for any movement in the future. If I see any, I'll friggin' let you know. But here we are, back home. Oh, notice that, 2-finger braking. How did you do 2-finger braking with cable brakes? Oh, with cable brakes. Fucking hell.